Welcome to Power and Politics. I'm Rich Barabi. Suspected Gilgo Beach killer Rex Heuermann has been charged with murdering two more women, Sandra Castilla and Jessica Taylor. This brings the total number of women he's accused of killing to 6. Joining us now to break down the new charges and the latest in this investigation is the Suffolk District Attorney, Ray Tierney. Ray, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich.
So just unbelievable new revelations in this case brought as allegations by your department this week. You have been very careful to keep your emotions out of your responses. But as this continues to play out, you now have charges in the deaths of 6 women. Are you surprised by the scope the investigation has taken on, or is this what you expected?
Not surprised. This is, you can't be surprised because, you sort of have to stay objective. But, once we got into it, this is, we are not surprised to be at this point.
Let's start with Jessica Taylor. This is now the 5th woman who he is charged with murdering. Talk about the process in determining why you are alleging that Rex Heuermann is responsible for her death.
Well, there's a number of items of evidence, but I think some key ones is the DNA evidence. We have a hair that was found on the body between the drape and the body. And that the DNA profile on that hair matches Rex Heuermann. Initially, in 2014, it was sent out for mitochondrial testing, and that was the only DNA available. Obviously, Rex Heuermann wasn't a suspect back then. It was retested in 2023. And the defendant's mitochondrial DNA profile was consistent with that. Now we've gone with this cutting-edge nuclear DNA profile, and we've been able to link his nuclear DNA to that hair. And also we have there's indication from witnesses that a dark-colored pickup truck was seen backed up in the area where Jessica's body was found. Our investigation reveals that the defendant was making internet searches the day after the murder, looking at a Newsday article where the police were looking for information. He then went online a day after that and was looking to purchase the same vehicle, the same Chevy Avalanche vehicle, but instead of it being a dark colored, he wanted to purchase a light colored Chevy Avalanche vehicle which wouldn't match the description of the truck that was used at the incident site, and then he tried to erase all of those searches. We also have located and retrieved a planning document, and in that planning document, it goes through excruciating detail of the pre-planning, planning, and post-planning stages of the abduction and murder of a victim. And in that, they talk about cutting off the hands and cutting off the head. Obviously, that was the condition that Jessica Taylor was found in. And so we allege with regard to this document that this was an actual planning document that the defendant utilized, and not only does it lay out the methodology, but that methodology was used in cases such as Jessica's.
Now, in the case of Sandra Castilla, we're going back to 1993, and in this case, you're alleging there were multiple hairs that were found here, right?
Two hairs in particular. There was a female hair and a male hair. The female hair comes back, both the mitochondrial and the nuclear DNA profile comes back to a woman that was living with Rex Heuermann shortly before the murder. 2 months or so before the murder, she was living in Rex Heuermann's house, the house he currently lives in. Also, male hair was found, and once again, the mitochondrial and nuclear DNA profiles match.
Is that Rex Heuermann's first wife?
We're not disclosing that individual's name. We're maintaining her privacy. We disclosed it to the defense, but we're maintaining the privacy of the individual.
Okay. The planning document. Tell us how it was recovered.
So it was recovered off of a laptop and it was erased. That means once you erase, as everyone knows, once you erase a document on a computer, you can no longer retrieve it, but it not in all instances does it disappear forever. It's in what is known as unallocated space, and forensic experts using software can sometimes retrieve these documents, and that's what our forensic expert did in this case.
So this was recovered on a laptop during the first search of the Uerman home, is that right?
Correct.
And when you receive that analysis and you get the actual document after that work is done, is that what then leads you and your office to go back to Manorville, back to Northsea, and back to the Uerman home?
Yes, among other things. But you have to keep in mind the massive scope of this case, because we have over hundreds of smart devices that we have to search, spanning 30 years. So then you have to go back and you have to use the software that was used when these devices were used. And again, that some of these could be 20, 30 years old. Some of them are encrypted, so you have to break into them, and then you have erased material, so you have to forensically examine them. So what we've been doing is painstakingly going through the forensics of all of these electronic devices, and it wasn't until March of this year that we were able to retrieve that document.
So you still expect to get returns from some of these devices, right? This work is ongoing to figure out what was on these different electronic devices.
The work in this case is ongoing, yes.
When you look at some of the data, there's talk of a Palm Pilot showing where Uerman's family was at the time during Jessica Taylor's alleged murder. How important is that data to be able to show, here's where the family was, here's where we believe Rex was, here's what's happened, here's the DNA?
So you want to do as complete a job as possible. So to establish a fact, you want to be able to establish it in a number of different ways. And with regard to all 6 of these murders, we've alleged that the family has been out of the state and sometimes even out of the country during the time of the commission of these murders. And we've done that through a variety of ways, one of which is going through his actual date book in this instance and seeing the notation where it says wife in Vermont at Smugs, meaning Smuggler's Notch.
When you receive that planning document and you see what's on there, how in-depth it was from beginning to end, does something for you and the prosecutors in your office say, this is what we really needed? This shows the kind of planning, the meticulous planning that goes into what we're accusing him of?
Yeah, I mean, these are allegations, we need to prove them, but, get a document like that. We're not so surprised that the document exists. We feel fortunate that we're able to find it because, again, the document evinces the intent of the accused.
So we're talking about a scope of over 30 years at this point. Up until that document, it wasn't clear exactly how he allegedly would have planned for all of these murders, right?
Well, I think if you look at all of the evidence, we would allege, if you look at that evidence anecdotally, and you sort of piece it all together from his internet searches, some other things he's written, other things that he's looked at on the internet, you could sort of piece it together. But obviously, we would submit and allege with regard to this planning document, it's in one document.
So again, we're talking about now the murder of 6 different women, but of course there are many others, and there is speculation, well, could Rex Uerman now be charged in those murders, specifically Valerie Mack? Is he a suspect now in her case?
Well, if you look at, if you look at the similarities between Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor, I think that they're self-apparent. Also, again, with regard to this planning document, in the document it talks about a dump site. Being Mill Road. Valerie Mack was found in that vicinity. Jessica Taylor was found in Halsey Manor Road. They intersect with one another. So there are similarities. We are following those leads, but until we're able to put the case together, we'll have no further comment about it.
This could be an ongoing process that takes years. Is that correct?
It is an ongoing process, and Rich, what you do is when you have evidence, and when we came in 2022, we didn't know what we were going to find, obviously, because we never worked on the case. When we got there, we were pleasantly surprised that we had a lot of avenue of investigation to explore. We did that, and it seems as we continue to do that, more avenues open up. So as long as those avenues of investigation exist, we'll follow them.
Is there a sense of where he may have committed the murders?
Well, if you look at the planning document, it definitely sets forth that methodology, and based on that planning document, in part, that is why we returned to the House. So we've received evidence, and we're analyzing that evidence, and once we put it together, we'll have further comment.
Ray Tierney, as the Suffolk County District Attorney, in a very busy week, we thank you for coming in and joining us.
Thank you, Rich.
And we'll be right back here on Power and Politics. Welcome back. Republicans know who will face Congressman Tom Suozzi in New York's 3rd Congressional District race this fall. It is the former Republican Assemblyman Mike LaPetri. Suozzi won the special election to serve the rest of expelled Congressman George Santos' term in the House. So now he's seeking re-election for a full 2-year term. LaPetri will not face a GOP primary. The State Board of Elections kicked off 4 other candidates who were hoping to compete in a Republican primary, determining they submitted invalid signatures on their candidacy petitions. And joining us now is Mike LaPetri, who you see there, who was actually helping us break down this race when we had the special election from the Republican standpoint. Now you are the candidate in the race. Why did you want to jump in here?
Well, it's an exciting opportunity. It's about providing the residents a fresh start. Someone that's going to be focusing on generating solutions for Long Island, focusing on our home, our families, our children. That's what we need. We need a real person that's focused on providing solutions for us.
Tom Suozzi back in office after winning the special election. He previously served this district, and he tried to get out in front of some of the Republican talking points that have worked well elsewhere, namely focusing on the border. He very early on in his special election campaign tried to offer solutions on the border. How do you think he's done on that issue? What would you do differently?
Well, the House just proposed a bipartisan End the Border Catastrophe Act that Tom Suozzi voted against. So clearly it is more rhetoric than actual action. See, I'm about providing those real truths. As a New York State Assemblyman, I was always working across the aisle to do what's right for the residents, more importantly than anything else. And I left my assembly seat to run for Congress. I care about this. I want to be a congressman for the 3rd Congressional District. Meanwhile, Tom Suozzi, he left his congressional district to run for governor. So his heart's not in this anymore. And we need someone that's going to put all their hard effort, hard work, mentality, passion into this race. And that's what I do. I care about the people here. These are my friends. These are my family members. You know, I'm born and raised here in this district. This is important to me. I'm not just running to be a congressman anywhere. This is home, and that matters to me more than anything.
Tom Suozzi said when he decided to run in the special election, and one of the reasons why it was him and his family felt it was the right thing to do coming out of the George Santos era. Talk to us about what that means for you as a Republican running in a district where Santos did win 2 years ago, but obviously many things changed very quickly.
Yeah, listen, it's the naysayers are going to try to say stuff about me and just make it with George Santos because they don't want that next generation approach. They don't want the guy to come in and flip the script in the House of Representatives. They want the status quo, which Tom Suozzi gives them. And if you want that and the problems of the past, then you should vote for my opponent who's going to provide those problems. But if you want the answers, solutions, you want a safe, secure border, you want safe, affordable communities, you want to focus on peace across the world, you want to make sure we have someone who's going to step up for affordable homes and making sure our families like my generation can actually stay on Long Island, you're going to vote for me. And that's what I'm asking the residents here, is if you want the problems of the past, go with my opponent. If you want solutions for the future, then I'm asking for them to vote for me.
So what are some of those solutions that you see for the next generation, as you put it?
Yeah, most importantly is we stand with our law enforcement. I was the #1 supporter of law enforcement during my tenure of the State Assembly. In fact, the Suffolk PBA lauded me for having the courage to stand with police while people like Tom Suozzi voted to repeal qualified immunity and turn his backs on the police. More importantly is I was the guy that rode along with ICE and stood with ICE to rid illegal immigrants who commit these heinous crimes like sex predators and murderers from our communities, including in the 3rd Congressional District. Meanwhile, Tom Suozzi, he was voting to fund sanctuary cities. That's not what we need, right? He kicked ICE out of Nassau County, who was county executive. That's not what we need. He's the one that provided the increase $200 million in taxes. That's not what we need. When I was in the State Assembly, I was looking to make it more affordable for Long Islanders to live here. And when I step in the United States House of Representatives, I have ideas I want to push forward that actually helps promote working families, creating families, and those that want to have children, makes it easier for them to live here, not harder. We don't need that. And those are some ideas that I want to push forward for the next generation to stay here and flock to Long Island, not leave it.
What would you do on that affordability front? Because we all know people who are struggling right now to find housing, to find a home that their family can grow up in, just like we grew up here on Long Island.
I get it. Listen, those are my friends. Those are my family members. Those are myself who I'm looking to have it where, how can we find a home that's reasonable? How can we have it where I want to have children, but it costs too much, right? I got to have diapers, formula, you name it. And that makes it too hard to hear. I want to have it where on the federal level, we're looking to incentivize working families through having tax deductions, through those formulas, diapers, childcare products, services, right? We need to encourage that. If you're having daycare, that should be written off as well. More money should go into our pockets, not the federal government. I think you're seeing too much where bureaucrats are handling our money like a blank check instead of focusing on how to actually manage it. We have to do that all the time at home with our families, and we have to make sure we have to crunch numbers and budget accordingly. Why isn't the federal government? It's time that we have people in there that actually care to do that.
There have been times where Tom Suozzi has frustrated members of his own party on the progressive wing with some of the stances he's taken. What kind of Republican member of Congress would you be? Are you more moderate and more conservative? Further down the line, where would you stand?
I'm the hometown voice that we can trust, period. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. Extremism on either side cannot be tolerated. We have to do what's right. When I ran for state assembly, that's actually what I campaigned on and said in the beginning. And I did that in the New York State Assembly, working with Democrats and Republicans to do what's right. Why aren't we helping our veterans? Well, why aren't we focusing on that instead of helping illegal immigrants? Why aren't we helping those in the trades, making sure that we're pushing more people to go into the trades to help with builders, steam fitters, plumbers, etc.? That's what I want to see promoted. I want to have entrepreneurial mindsets too. Why aren't we pushing financial literacy in our schools? What about parental rights, making sure families can oversee what happens to their child? Those are the ideas that I want to push forward, and I did that when I was a state assemblyman working across the aisle on both sides, because ultimately it's about doing what's right by my district. My job, my duty was to my district as a state assemblyman, and that's going to be the same way no matter who's in office, Republican or Democrat. For the 3rd Congressional District, they can count on Mike LaPetri doing what's right by them.
All right, Mike LaPetri, thank you for being here, and we will catch up along the campaign trail.
Thank you.
Still to come here on Power and Politics, a bill just passed in Congress aiming to support veterans and first responders. It's called the Working Dog Commemorative Coin Act. And next, News 12's Kurt Semder sits down with the president of the Guide Dog Foundation, John Miller, and Air Force veteran Nathan Gardner. You're watching Power and Politics. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A bill supporting our local heroes has passed in Congress, and all surcharges would go to an organization that helps provide service animals to veterans and first responders. News 12's Kurt Semder joins us with a special interview now to break it all down.
Rich, thanks. So the House passed the Working Dog Commemorative Coin Act in May, and this would instruct the U.S. Mint to develop a series of coins to honor working dogs in our society and also raise money in the process. So joining us right now is John Miller. He is the president of America's Vet Dogs, as well as Air Force veteran Nathan Gardner and his service dog, Kenzo. Guys, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So John, I want to start with you because the bill needs to still get through the Senate, but I really want to know, what would this do exactly if it passes, and where would the money go?
So America's Vet Dogs, based right here on Long Island, we work in all 50 states, and everything we do is free of charge. So we provide service dogs like Kenzo to vets like Nathan, and their life-changing experiences and life-changing animals. So on a very high level, this will go to put more dogs in the hands of veterans faster. So we appreciate everybody, particularly our Long Island congressional delegation, for supporting the bill in the House. Our 2 U.S. senators from New York are on board in the Senate, and we look forward to getting it over the finish line. We have to get 67 co-sponsors before they take it for a vote, and so we're well on our way to doing that.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. And Nathan, dogs like Kenzo, they literally save lives. What kind of impact has Kenzo had on your life?
He has done exactly that. Saved and changed my life ever since I got him. I've had him for a little over 2 years now. Kenzo's 4. And there's so much that goes into just what these dogs can do and what they're trained for and how they can help us. For me, Kenzo helps with physical and mental abilities. So it's not just what I'm actually going through or what I had from the service. There's a whole slew of things that have to go into that. And Kenzo retrieves things for me. He can get a button for help. He can retrieve my phone. They give us a nice thing for him to get my phone. So he actually makes me more independent and live my life the way I should be living. I separated in 2012, and I spent many years living in certain ways that I shouldn't have been.
All right.
So what Kenzo has done for me is very hard to put into words, to be frank.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on how this all plays out, and hopefully we'll see how things progress in the Senate. Guys, thanks so much for being here with us this week. Rich, let's throw things back to you.
Thank you, Kurt. The New York primaries are June 25th, and the Democratic candidates running in the 1st Congressional District are set to answer your questions. Nancy Goroff and John Avlon are running to represent Democrats in November against incumbent Republican Nick LaLota. But before that, they're answering your questions right here on Power and Politics. So if you have a question for either candidate, scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen. The candidates will be here next week, Sunday at 11:30, only on News 12 Long Island. That's all the time we have this week here on Power and Politics. I'm Rich Barabi. Have a great rest of your day.